What is the glory of war? Is it the blood and gore? Is it the banner streaming? Or the young men screaming? Is it the meadows gleaming? Or the sniper's eye beaming?
Dawn breaks the night. Moon and the stars are heartbroken. Tears falling from heaven. Drops like
Fathers pound
diamonds on
fists,
red.
dressed in dreams of yesterday. Toy soldiers retire like toasted marshmallows, drinking the heat of the sand, and children cry taps.
Hello, I'm Kylie Garcia with MATV's Neighborhood View. I'm here at MATV Studios here on Pleasant Street in Malden as we're launching a new gallery exhibit here involving local poets and artists collaborating together in an exhibit called Lines Connecting Lines. I'm about to speak with some of those poets and artists and talk about how they got involved in this and what it was like to work with each other. I'm here with Robert Hayes, one of the poets here involved in Lines Connecting Lines. Hi, Robert.
Hi, Kylie.
So tell me, how did you get involved in this?
I was standing in Starbucks in Melrose on Main Street, and it was the deadline night, and I looked up at the bulletin board, and there was the flyer, and I thought, why not? And I emailed Lisa, and she said, yeah, you have until midnight. And I was like, okay, so either this was meant to be or I don't know what. And so I emailed her a poem, and by the deadline, and which was like 4 hours later. The deadline was in 4 hours or so, or 3 hours. I think I emailed her at like 9 o'clock that night, and I made it on the deadline, and that's how I got here. That's how I arrived.
That's so awesome. So tell me, how did you enjoy working with an artist?
Well, I really enjoyed the idea that an artist would create a visual representation of my poem according to her or his interpretation, and I discovered that the person who the artist that chose my poem is someone that I grew up with. And it's kind of about my childhood also. The poem references my childhood directly, and I knew the artist, Maria Tiro. We grew up together in school, and in fact, the last time I saw Maria was about 20 years ago, right on this very street. So here we are back here again on this very street 20 years later, and I didn't know she was an artist, and she didn't know I was a poet, and now we're discovering this about each other all these years later.
I just glanced at one of my poems was called 117, and it's kind of nebulous as to what it's about, mostly about memory, so I knew those pieces would have to be kind of abstract, so I was interested to see what artists made out of it, because it doesn't really tell you much.
What did you think of the one that you've seen, how that was interpreted?
Yeah, I thought they were pretty interesting. One was cut paper and had some spaces in it, and I thought, yeah, like memory, has spaces in it. And then the other one was a manipulated photograph that I could definitely see the connection with my poem. I don't even know how I would interpret my own poem, and I know what it's about.
Well, I didn't actually have any contact with the artist in my case. I know some folks did, but I guess they went ahead and just worked from my work. So I was just excited to see what they came up with, what, it inspired with them. So it's very interesting.
What did you think of that specifically, how that turned out, their interpretation of your work?
Definitely some different stuff. Some both literal interpretations, but also, because I have two pieces in, some very abstract ones. So interesting to see.
It was interesting. I haven't ever done that before. I was sort of afraid to do it at first because I don't like to be put on the spot. I mean, I like to illustrate, or I like to paint things that are there in front of me. And I was a little bit afraid that I'd have to drum up something out of my head. But then I figured, well, I can set up a still life that will sort of be related to the poem. So that's what I did.
And how did you get involved in this?
I work in a pharmacy, and I post some of my artwork there just to tell people to get their flu shots. And then Lisa just happened to see it and said, "Oh, well, why don't you submit to the contest?" And I said, "All right, well, I've written poems and creative writing, so why don't I give it a shot?" And I was selected and completely surprised. That's exciting.
That's great. And how did you enjoy working with an artist?
We actually haven't met yet. It's going to be like a blind date. So, yeah, I'm excited. I was trying to see where it actually all connected. So I haven't even seen it yet. So it's going to be like some big unveiling.
So we're back with Tia Girardi. She has actually just seen the artwork that was made based on her poem. And what was your reaction to that, Tia?
Oh, I was blown away. I came around the corner, and it was like the biggest piece there, and it was beautiful. And he's a poet as well, Jason, and he actually wrote some small poems inside of the car. And in the review mirror, my poem is titled Timpson Street, and in the review mirror he put Timpson Street like someone was looking back, and in it he wrote a small line that said, "Life is better through the window, not the review mirror." And I connected with that personally because that's like how I feel now in this moment, a year after writing the poem. So the poem was really about something that happened in my past that kind of controlled me, and his line just kind of allowed me to realize that I've let it all go now and that I'm on the right path.
This is very inspiring because you ask you ask a 10 artists a question and you can come up with 10 different answers like anybody else. It's the way you render it and the way that you want to visualize it. So what was very interesting about this is that after all of the artists had chosen the poems that they wanted to work with, I was not around. I was away on vacation over the holidays. But for me, it did make a difference. So when I came back, the poems that were remaining, 2 poems that were remaining, that's the poems I chose. It so happened that in reading the essence of the poem, one seemed to be talking about the beginning of a relationship, and one seems to be talking about the end of a relationship. But I wasn't sure if this is something that would be pleasing for the artist, if I'm telling her story or his story. I didn't know who the person was.
So we actually just spoke with Tia, who wrote Timpson Street, and you did the artwork for that. Yes. Are you pleased with her reaction to your work?
Oh, yes, I'm very pleased with. I don't know what anyone will say, but Timpson Street really had me going because, if I can tell you something, I mean, we've all been in relationships where sometimes it doesn't work, be it a friend or something even more significant than that, and it ends as, so how do you pick up yourself and go? What happens tomorrow and the day after? And this poem seems to be talking about that, So I try to find things, elements that I can put into the poem to, you're looking back, but you're looking forward, or you're going forward, but you still remember those things that can hold you, and so I was very pleased with her reaction to it. Actually, I was bowled over by her reaction to it, because she said she really, she liked it a lot, It's like, really? Okay, so nice.
So I'm here with Ann Durso Rose. The exhibit is now winding down. What is your reaction to this exhibit and how it's affected the community so far?
Well, as the gallery exhibition coordinator here at MATV, I'm just thrilled to have hosted this exhibit. We've had a great turnout this evening, and just in general, people just love this exhibit. They love the idea of poets and artists and reacting to artwork and creating art in reaction to a poem. It really seems to have touched a chord in this community, and it's helping to build the art community here in Malden. So we're just thrilled to host this exhibit.
I'm thrilled. I'm just thrilled. It's a terrific exhibit. I love the diversity of the poems and the artwork, and I love this huge crowd. And this is exactly what the Malden Cultural Council wants to see happen. So our purpose is to encourage art in Malden, and I feel like we did that. I feel like Lisa did that. I found I really liked seeing how the artists would pick perhaps a different part of the poem than what the poet was feeling for it. So that's what I thought was really interesting, was some of the poems that the artists saw something that they could build on that was either a corner or, if not a central part of the poem. I also love the poems that have two artists, because I love seeing the two different ways that people have worked it out. So I think it's great. I think it's just great.
It looks like it's been a great success tonight, and thank you for all of your support. It's been a fantastic evening speaking with these artists and poets involved in Lines Connecting Lines. The exhibit will be available through the end of April, so stop by if you get a chance. For more information, please visit neighborhoodview.org or matv.org. I'm Kylie Garcia with MATV's Neighborhood View. Thanks for watching.